everybody. Welcome to the Kickin' Show, brought to you by Kickin the Tires every week. This is our 12th episode. We've got Justin Schumer, Zach Costanza, Seth Eggert, and Matt Corson chiming in from the Amazon hub in Tennessee, right?
I'm not at work tonight, but I'm here.
All right, if you'd like to tune into the show every week, if you miss it when we're doing it here, you can always like, subscribe, ring the bell, follow us on YouTube, follow our social media on Twitter as well. We'd appreciate it. Let's kick it over to Justin and let him tell us what's happening on the show tonight.
Yeah, so help us get to 100 subs. That's kind of our first milestone mark, as Jerry said. So hit that sub and bell button. But yeah, we're going to be talking about
free prize.
Yes, there's a giveaway too. So be one of the lucky 100 subs, and then once we get to there, we'll be reaching out to everyone on social media to do the raffle, and hopefully you'll be the lucky one for that. First off, we're going to be talking a little bit about the Charlotte ROVAL test with the next gen car. That's not coming out till 2022, but our own Zach Costanza was out there, so he'll be sharing some thoughts on that. Seth's got some iRacing news, and then we've got some schedule changes. Matt hearing the news that was broken out earlier today that Eldora is no longer on the truck schedule. We've got a ton more silly season stuff shuffle happening, and then we're going to be talking a little bit about who we think was the most underrated driver of 2020, who flew under the radar the longest, and go from there. But first, yeah, Jerry, you want to talk about that giveaway a little bit?
We will be giving away a Darlington 164th car to the 100th to somebody who's in the first 100 subscribers at Kickin the Tires for the Kickin Show on YouTube. So you'll want to do that. Look, I like giving stuff away for free. People like winning stuff for free. It's a win-win for everybody.
Boom. So you're telling me if I sub, I can win it?
No, you cannot win it. You work for Kickin the Tires. The contest is open to those who are 18 years or older from the continental United States and blah blah blah.
So I'll just tell my dad to win, subscribe, and then he can win, and then he can just give it to me for Christmas.
I'm an investigative reporter. Come on.
All right.
If you want one that damn bad, I probably have an extra. This is all 64th program cars right there. So I probably have extras.
Boom.
Just let me know.
So yeah, hit that sub button, everyone. Help us get to that goal, and we greatly appreciate it. Also, let us know in the comments what you think about the shows, some of the drivers, crew members that you'd like to see on the show, and we'll obviously do our best to get them in. But we want to get your thoughts as well, so that's the best place to put them, is right there in the comments. But without further ado, Zach, I'll hand the mic over to you because you had a pretty awesome Monday, and not a lot of people can say that because you got to see firsthand the next gen car out on the ROVAL at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So tell us about that.
Well, thanks to Jerry, first off, because I kind of forgot. It started, I think, at 2 o'clock, and he texted me at like 4:30, and I'm like, oh man, I hope they're running until 7 o'clock, and thankfully they used up every second of their time, which I kind of expected. It was killer, man. Really blown away by this car, the sound, the look, the design, the cornering speeds, the acceleration. It was nice to be there when they were on the ROVAL because you were able to see them kind of navigate certain different corners. I mean, if they go around an oval, you kind of get used to the speed and all that, but I don't know if it's because it's been a while for me since I've seen a car that up close. You know, I was just a footstep away, but I swear the vibrations that car punches into the ground is greater than the cars today. I mean, naturally a louder car has more of a reverb into the ground, but even when Busch or Truex, came back into the garage, you kind of felt it a little bit more. And as I said, I don't know if that's just time and I've kind of forgotten a little bit, but I swear it had a little bit more of that. But I mean, the biggest thing was definitely the sound. I mean, it was glorious. I mean, I know from the first video I saw, I think it was Homestead, maybe was where the first test was. I got to hear it for the first time, and it was just, I was thrilled to hear what the cars were going to sound like in the near future. And I mean, I had to stop and admire how pissed off that car sounded when it went by. I mean, it was deep, growling, like a manly type of noise, something out of a sports car series. And I mean, my opinion, we haven't seen it in race conditions yet, of course. I mean, with a proper paint scheme and car number, but probably the sexiest looking race car I've seen, probably that the sport has seen in decades, maybe 40 years or so, maybe go back to the 70s. I mean, I'm a huge fan of it. Now, how it races, that's a bigger fish to fry. I mean, now we're talking about competition and aero and handling and driver feedback, the effect of drafting and tire wear, all that. Short track package, how is it going to go on super speedways and road courses? I mean, there's a lot that has to be done yet, and that's why I was happy that NASCAR opted to delay it for another year. I think that was a good decision because we got something good here. I feel, it looks and sounds amazing, and that's so important in auto racing. But how it races, obviously, is the most important thing, and I think it's right to have another year to develop this new car and give it a proper debut in 2022.
I'd like to point out I saw the car at Daytona earlier this year. You saw two cars on the track. There's a black and blue one. That's the one that NASCAR built, and then there's a black and red one that Action Express IMSA team built. For those that don't know, Jim France is involved in the Action Express team, so therefore he was able to have his guys that during the COVID break build a next-gen car to basically kind of run it against NASCAR. Maybe they can take some stuff from IMSA, take some stuff from NASCAR, kind of move those things together. But what you're talking about on the sound, it's not that it's louder, it's deeper. It has a feel to it. It's actually quieter than a cup car, but you don't know that because it's so deep that it has that, as you said, that ground vibration to it. And it makes the car sound really good. It looks super fast on the track. I saw it on the road course right after we did the road course at Daytona. When you guys left at Daytona earlier this year, I stayed because I had a tip that they were going to test the car. Well, you can't get into Daytona. It's a closed test, but Daytona has tours. So I took a tour of Daytona so that I could get photos of the car and be the only one in NASCAR with it, because it was a big secret that this test was going on. So for you guys to experience what I got to experience earlier this year, it's amazing, Zach, how cool this car is. And I know the rest of you, when you see it, when you hear it, I know you saw some video of it. This is actually, I think, the first time that NASCAR has really opened up their test so that fans and reporters can know what's going on with this new car. So I know you guys will love it when you get to be involved with it.
So I have one question for you, Zach, because you were there. Could you notice the difference with the shifting patterns and the pitches of the engine? Because this transmission, obviously, for those that don't know, we're moving away from the H pattern, standard typical 4-speed with the current cars, and the 2020 next gen or 2022 next gen car is going to have the sequential 6-speed. So there's 2 more gears. So especially on the ROVAL, I was curious if you could actually hear like different engine pitches throughout the race compared to the normal cars that we run now.
It was a little weird. I mean, because it was kind of tough to tell what drivers was in which car. I'm pretty sure Kurt was in the all-black car. May have been wrong, but one of them was shifting past the start-finish line. They would exit that final corner of the ROVAL, get to the start-finish line, and there'd be one more gear that they would turn before they get to turn 1. But then the other car would just go straight through it on just one single pitch. I mean, if you have more gears, the acceleration is going to be higher because you're able to, you don't get bogged down as much when you're just stuck in 3rd gear. You get 3rd, 4th, 5th, and you can just accelerate a little higher. That's why Formula One has 8 shifts instead of just 4. I swear to God, they were quicker. It just felt like it. I mean, never really. Yes, Seth.
They were somebody. I think Bozzy. I don't know how to pronounce this. Yeah,
Bozzy Taylor.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I apologize, but I know he was actually there and he was timing it, and he said they were going at about 84 seconds a lap, which was about a second and a half faster than Chase Elliott's fastest lap this year in dry conditions.
Well, see, Bozzy is an expert. He knows this stuff better than most, and I actually am getting with him on another topic regarding to the car, but. When you were talking about who was in which car, Kurt was actually in the blue and black car that NASCAR built.
Okay.
It's called the P3 car, and Martin Truex Jr. was in the black and red highlighted car that was built by Action Express. So that's for if you see the black and blue one, you'll see the blue hue down the side of it's black with a blue hue on it, and then the other one just has some red highlights. So now for fans that are out there and they know, they'll be able to know which driver was in which car.
Yeah, you can definitely sense. I mean, a second and a half a lap. I mean, that you can definitely sense that when you're watching it.
Yeah, I think Kurt even said he felt like it was like 3 seconds faster a lap. Like he could notice a huge difference. Which obviously when you're in the car and you don't see the times right away, sometimes you're exaggerating a little bit. So I don't know if it was exactly 3 seconds, but still you can definitely tell when it's quicker for sure.
So for people that don't understand this shifting, it's like basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, only stays in the same spot. It's like a motorcycle engine from what or even Kurt, I think, said Bandoleros or
supercars.
Supercars,
yeah. V8 supercars from Australia.
And when you go through your gears, though, to go down, you have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's a long way through those gears. That's gonna be interesting. I did not know NASCAR was going to a straight pattern like that over the H that we've had forever.
Well, especially most people when they downshift though, they kind of go sequential anyway. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Well, it's also a lot of the production cars now, the standard stock cars now, have either paddle or sequential shifters.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So if they're moving to a more manufacturer-friendly car that represents a modern car, moving from an H pattern to a sequential shifter makes a little bit more sense.
Except for my Camaro.
Well, if you're gonna do a paddle shift, I mean that would be very interesting. That would be neat to see. I've driven those cars like that before, and my iRacing setup is paddle shift.
Yeah.
But I used to have a Nissan 240 SX, and it had the standard H pattern. However, I would go from fifth to third a lot, especially on cornering, because I abused the hell out of the car, to be honest with you. But it was amazingly fast, and who needs fourth gear anyway?
There you go.
That shifting is going to be interesting though, because I remember when I tested Legend cars, this was 2016. They have sequential as well. And if you think about, I mean, if you start it when you're young and you get used to that type of rhythm, you get into late models and K&N cars and ARCA, Trucks Xfinity, they're not going to have it, at least for the time being. And then when you get the Cup, it's a whole new thing. So it's going to be interesting, how that's going to change these next few years, if that's something that all the series going all the way down, that's what they're going to end up using, because I'm sure it's going to be a rhythm change, especially for the Cup guys who maybe they haven't used the sequential in many years.
Well, I want to go ahead and skip ahead over iRacing for a second and let Matt talk a little bit about what he knows about Eldora, because I have a follow-up to that you guys probably don't know about yet. So what did you hear? We kind of all heard it today, but talk a little bit about your sense. I think actually you're probably the closest to Eldora for us.
Yeah, so I went to Eldora for the first time last year, and man, what an experience it was. I actually went up to Eldora, did the truck race, and then drove up to Watkins Glen for the Cup race. And wow, I think Tony Stewart has a really impressive facility out there, and I think it's a shame that they're leaving. I know Eldora brought the trucks in 2013. First time NASCAR was on dirt in over 40 years. They had a different winner every season that they had. So that news broke this afternoon. So I think there's maybe some more dirt tracks that another reporter alluded that NASCAR might be looking at. I know Bristol with their dirt track in March. So it'll be really interesting to see if they add another dirt track or if they're maybe going to go back to pavement.
Well, I can enlighten you a little bit. There will be multiple dirt tracks on the Truck Series schedule, which will be released tomorrow. We're recording this on Wednesday, so you'll see it by the time it comes out. It won't be news, but tomorrow the Truck Series schedule comes out. Eldora should be on. I mean, not Eldora. Bristol should be on there, and Knoxville Raceway in Iowa is supposed to be on there as well. That's the new news that I heard just an hour ago from somebody in the truck series that told me that that's what they are looking at. So, you know, anything's fluid in NASCAR. Things change at the last minute. But if I'm hearing this an hour out from a day before, I should be able. I think we're pretty solid that is a very strong possibility that Knoxville Raceway will be on the schedule.
Sure, I know Knoxville has a huge presence in the sprint car world. Definitely a lot of NASCAR drivers have gone out there and raced, and I think it would be a really interesting market. I know NASCAR dropped Iowa Speedway from the races, but to add Knoxville to the races would be pretty cool.
Yeah, Iowa, I don't know if we're ever going back there, if they're just going to turn that into a cornfield. I really don't. It is in the middle of nowhere. They couldn't sell it out. They couldn't get a lot of people there for a truck race or Xfinity race, or so we'll see. I don't think Cup ever goes there, and with it being completely off everybody's schedule, I think it's done.
Yep, same.
Was there a reason why Eldora was taken off? Do you know?
Money.
Yeah.
Even though there's 25,000 people roughly at every race, it was a sellout. It paid the lowest purse of any truck race, from what I understand, on the series schedule. And then it also cost so much to put it on and to bring everybody there. Everybody had to stay really far away. And I just think it got down to dollars and cents. And Tony Stewart's he's a businessman. And would he like to see the trucks there? Yes. But he also, to make it financially viable, I think he wanted to see some of the other series there, Xfinity or Cup even, at some point. And that build-out, he would have to have a huge build-out for a Cup race. And I just don't think NASCAR was gonna put that investment into it.
And is Knoxville just going to be the truck series?
My understanding, that's my understanding. I don't know 100%. I got a call from somebody in a truck team that said, "Hey, looks like we're going to Knoxville," and I'm like, "What?" So, if I'm wrong, it's because my source is wrong, and it won't matter after tomorrow anyway.
Well, if I remember correctly, Knoxville actually did a lot of upgrades within the past 4-5 years or so, upgrading their suites, upgrading their facilities. So it's almost, and it's been something that I've actually heard off and on in those years, that NASCAR was looking at a second dirt race for the truck series, because some teams were making or building specialty one-use trucks for Eldora.
Right. It's not cost beneficial to build a truck for one race. And if they can use it for a couple more races, or at least one more, they get some use out of it. They don't have to put as much effort, and they can also probably shelve that truck for another year, maybe use it the next year. If you're going to go to a couple different races. So yeah, it's a great. It'll be a great move if that's where they decide to go. That's what like I said. That's where I was told.
Well, I'm glad they're going to, not if that is something that happens. I'm glad that will happen. It'll keep the truck series. Given that no other series is going there, it's going to keep them having their own premier dirt race. That's definitely one big negative. That's what made Eldora so special for the last 7 years, was that they had their big, like, Super Bowl type of event, something that you only saw once a year, and it was the truck series. It wasn't Cup. It was the smallest in the national series, had like one big just epic night, with stage racing that was brand new, and all the heat races and LCQs and four wide salute. Just the whole night was really cool. So
and the fact that losing that, like Norm Benning's story is probably one of the biggest from
Norm Benning
Eldora.
made the race. I mean,
well, and not only that, but when he was done racing, remember how everybody from every crew went to go work on his truck?
Yeah.
He couldn't even get out of his truck.
Somebody helped buy him tires for the race too.
I want to say that was Brendan Gaughan, actually, who bought him the tires.
Yeah.
And it was Richard Childress Racing, and I remember seeing some Thor Sport uniforms and even some KBM uniforms going over there and changing out parts, fixing fenders.
In my head, Norm Betting won that race.
Yeah,
The whole night. It wasn't
yeah.
Austin Dillon. It was him.
Well, I've been several times, and there are Norm fans. There's like Norm's got his Norman army of fans, and most of them are his family probably. But you see them wearing Norm Benning shirts, and they're all all through the infield there at Eldora. So
if I remember correctly, Tony Stewart bought that truck and actually has it on display at the track.
I would not doubt it. Tony Stewart buys a lot of stuff and puts it on display. I've seen some of the photos and some of the videos of inside his little mini museum.
But it's not like we're losing that. Like I feel like with Knoxville, like we can still have those type of moments. But totally. I mean, I do feel bad for Tony and that whole track because I feel like they really built something over these last 6 years. And as I said, we're probably not going to lose anything, but we did lose that track.
Yeah, we're going to lose something. What are those pepperoni things that they serve in the concession stand? And I mean, the cheapest damn food in NASCAR. I'm telling you, it's like this is cheaper than the $4 stuff they have at Talladega with their throwback, concession stands. Tony's got like $2 hot dogs and stuff. I mean, where do you get that at, Eldora?
Martinsville. Martinsville.
Those aren't hot dogs, okay? Those are not. Those are not hot dogs. Those are.
Get them right.
That is nuclear waste put on a.
You're crazy. You call yourself a NASCAR fan? Come on.
All right, note to self: good thing ketchup does not set off a nuclear bomb.
That is.
Never heard that one.
You know what? Martinsville hot dogs wouldn't be bad if they didn't have the slaw and the onions and that.
Get them without it.
Pasty chili or whatever that stuff is.
All right, so next week we're going to report that Jerry Jordan has been blacklisted from Martinsville press box.
They know it. They know it. I'll help them sell them, but I will not eat them, and they know it.
Oh man. All right, well, let's take a break from the real world and just kidding. But
Clay Campbell's done. I'm done.
Seth, you've got some iRacing news because even though the big boys are done, you've got a couple good stories from Monday Night Racing and the Pro Series with iRacing, right?
Yes, and also the Hard to Drive 300, which I talked about a little bit last week. Coca-Cola Series driver Jimmy Mullis won that race after getting tires at the right time. In a Toyota, he passed Jake Nichols in a Dodge. Mind you, they were using the old COTs, which are unbranded on iRacing, so there was somebody running a Dodge in the race. With 5 laps to go and went on to win, he had some of the freshest tires in the field. Beat out Seth the Merchant, who's in the Pro Series. He beat out Santiago Tiers from the Coke Series and now the Pro Series. So it was a good race. The first 97 of those laps at Atlanta in the 900 horsepower COT went caution free. And of all the people to bring out the first caution, NASCAR on NBC analyst Parker Klingerman. Actual pro.
Do it big.
Yeah, the actual pro brought out the first caution. Cautions bred cautions the rest of the night. And Jimmy Mullis kept his nose clean, got tires at the right time, and cruised to victory. Then we had Monday Night Racing, the season opener there.
Where all you fools kept wrecking up front so that me, with my messed up brake pedal, couldn't stop and kept running into you.
You never actually hit me, though, this time.
Oh, man.
I have to say you guys didn't hit me either because I didn't race it.
Well, Kyle Busch did Kyle Busch things, and I have not seen someone go from 24th to 1st in 2 laps on iRacing at Talladega until Monday night. It was impressive what he did. He basically channeled his inner Dale Earnhardt to do it.
Well, he got tires on that last stop.
He got tires and he did get a fresh car.
Yeah, and I didn't hit him in that wreck. That was probably the only car I didn't hit because as y'all were crashing him. I mean, look, let me just give you a scenario, guys. Everybody who's watching the podcast and thinking about the Monday Night Racing League. I'm coming around, I think it's turn 3, and the next thing I know, there's nothing but cars going every direction around the track. I broke the bolt off my pedals.
Oh
Because I tried to hit my brakes so hard, it would not stop, and I slammed into them. Because these guys that are supposed to be great drivers, I go to the back all the time because just to stay out of the way and have fun. Yeah, I ran over them because they don't know how to drive straight.
Although I will say this, I was behind you because I had run out of fast repairs because I kept getting caught in the accidents.
Oh yeah, I cleared you a path.
Yeah, you cleared me a path. I was gonna say on the last lap, the big one happened. He cleared me a path, and I gained 13 positions.
Jerry gave you the Moses effect.
I am this far, literally, I am this far from clearing the car in front of me and getting a. I was already 31 laps down because everything locked up. I haven't logged on to Monday Night Racing in a while, just over some, just because I haven't. But we've worked out the technical differences that we have. We've worked those out, but my computer didn't want to work. So I was already 20-something laps down when I started. So I kept dropping to the back. I didn't want to be anybody. But I almost cleared that car like that. I just needed an inch. Man. But yeah, I knocked it out of the way for Seth, and he got a good finish.
Yeah, a decent finish. I think I ended up 21st or something like that.
Out of 39 cars.
Second, so.
Yeah, 39 cars.
Yeah. Although last night, Tuesday night, was the season opener for the NASCAR iRacing Pro Series. This will help determine the back half of, well, I shouldn't say back half, but the 21 open spots on the grid for next year's Coca-Cola Series. And rowdy energy driver Malik Ray went to victory with a last lap pass at Daytona in the number 51 Toyota Supra, beating out 8 of his teammates to win.
Rowdy's got 8 teammates, and now you've got 9 racers.
No, he sponsors 1, but he's on a team with 9 people.
Oh, okay. Because I mean, I can't afford to sponsor. You're wanting me to sponsor some of this stuff, and I'm like, guys, I've got to, make payroll someday.
Well, you keep asking me about sponsoring it, so that I just keep saying, here's somebody who might need a sponsor.
Give me a number so that I can crunch on it.
Okay.
That's what I need. I need numbers because I know what it's going to cost me to sponsor the All-Star race in the MNR, Monday Night Racing League. There's a 95% chance that, kind of like the COVID vaccine, there's a 95% chance that it'll work. Well, there's a 95% chance that we're going to sponsor. See what I did there? And that we're going to sponsor the All-Star race in Monday Night Racing. So we'll see.
But again, that was also a good race. The first 40 or so laps went caution-free. You had one whole team go and do their own pit strategy, short pitting. And when the field tried to lap them, chaos broke out. As any super speedway race, even in the real world. And Malik Ray just somehow avoided getting into the wrecks in general. And on the final lap, he was being pushed by one of his teammates who had damage. And the middle lane was the only lane that actually still had momentum after a wreck on the last lap. He won by 0.069 seconds.
Wow. Well, Kyle Busch came across on Monday Night Racing. He came across the line sideways to win it.
Yeah. Malik Ray didn't go across the line sideways, but everybody else did.
So he went around the right way.
Yes.
So awesome. Any updates with the lower half dash series?
We are working on that. We're trying to put something together for lower half dash part 2. We did that last year when COVID happened.
Mm-hmm.
I need to get with Ryan and Cody and all those guys and see what the damage is going to be to the pocketbook. I might have to sell a kidney or something. Everybody wants more money. When we first started doing this, everybody was like, "Oh man, I'll do it for whatever you can afford." I'm like, "Okay, I got my check. Let's see. Here's my stimulus check. Take it."
At least you got yours. I never got mine.
I didn't get one either, but I just said I did. I didn't get a stimulus check. I didn't get a COVID relief loan. You know, because everybody's a contract. You know, technically, you can't pay yourself off that. So it's like, you know, I should have hired everybody. This is what we should have done. Oh wait, I shouldn't say this on a podcast.
Justin will cut it out.
All right, moving on.
You can leave it in. I don't care. We didn't do it, so it doesn't matter. So, but yeah, I'm sitting here. Everybody else got money.
All right, well, let's move on. At the time of this recording, the banquet is going on.
Yeah, I forgot completely about that until someone was talking about Steve Phelps' red shoes.
So you want to know how I found out? I found out this morning from Angie Campbell, who was my old quote-unquote boss. I guess that's the only way to really call it. But she was my old boss when I worked my first journalism gig with Speedway Media.
Didn't she like do? Yeah, I was gonna say, didn't she do some? Yeah.
Yeah, she's a senior editor at Speedway Media.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, so really sweet, really nice, helped me out a ton with learning how to write in AP and all that stuff.
Are you going back? Is that why you were talking to her?
No, we're friends on Facebook. We
Oh,
can't be
okay,
friends on
okay.
Facebook.
I was okay.
All right, so on this episode, Jerry overreacts like a little pansy over there. Just kidding. No, but that's how I found out. When she posted it on Facebook, and I was like, "Oh, how come I've never seen this? How come I never got an email about it or whatever, or anything like that?" Nope, just boom. Oh, and then this one guy is singing and performing or whatever, and that's it. And I'm like, "Oh, well, okay."
Well, speaking of overreaction, hey Justin, I got a call from a guy in India who wants to redo the website.
Okay. It's a WordPress theme. It's not my website.
We need to. We're going to change up the website in the off season. Justin just doesn't know it yet.
Oh.
Justin's got a lot of work ahead of him.
Yay. I gotta keep myself here somehow, right?
That's right. Now, hey, I am curious. If the banquet's going on, then that means there's like picks for the most popular driver. I couldn't imagine who the most popular drivers at the NASCAR banquet are tonight. Can anybody tell me? Because I will be shocked.
So
I'm sure.
Bill Elliott made a comeback, and
Wow.
I saw Elliott as the most popular driver. So I assumed, since we're going on this 1988 theme, so he's most popular. No, obviously Chase Elliott, most popular driver this year, and that is official now with the banquet because that's when those are revealed. For the NASCAR Xfinity Series, Justin Allgaier took home the most popular driver prize, and for the Truck Series, good old young Zane Smith taking home the honors for 2020.
Did he wreck Ben Rhodes? Did he wreck Ben Rhodes like in retaliation? I'm trying to figure out why Zane got it of all people.
No, it was Eckes who wrecked
Eckes, yeah.
Ben Rhodes. So,
Right, well, I remember, but I thought Zane had done something too, though. Now, Eckes gave the double finger.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
something.
Okay, we've got video of that. Okay, it was amazing.
Yeah,
It's like the highest watched video ever in Kickin the Tires history.
he gave him
Zane
the.
said something about his fan base changing after the race at Charlotte.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But yeah, Zane's a cool dude. I'm just curious how because usually, if you're in one of the second or third tier series, you get most popular driver by pissing somebody off or making people that hate them happy. So
Or
Alex
wrecking,
Jackson would have won in Xfinity then.
or wrecking
or-
Joey Logano.
yeah,
Where Junior
yeah.
was like, I'm actually worried about my MVP this year.
So Zane Smith, that's cool. I'm not surprised by Chase Elliott. He'll be the most popular driver for the rest of his life, as long as he's in Cup.
Yeah.
Or as long as he has his name on the ballot, because I know Bill was still racing and had his name taken off the ballot because he was winning so much.
Yeah, well, they had to let Dale. They had to let Dale Jr. win. The truth is, Bill didn't want to lose to Dale Jr. because it went from Bill to Dale Jr. and now it's to Chase.
I was gonna say, didn't Earnhardt? I think Earnhardt won it.
Earnhardt Senior
2001
won
when
one
he
year.
died.
Yeah, because
No,
I think
Earnhardt Sr. never won it.
Earnhardt Senior won in 2001.
Oh, after he was dead.
Yeah,
After he passed away.
Yeah, Bill Elliott pledged all of his votes to Senior that year.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I can remember how that happened.
Because I remember him saying, I remember Dale Earnhardt saying, I've never been voted, I win more than this and I do this and that, and they all love me and sell more merchandise than any of them, but I've never been most popular driver. That doesn't get me any more money, which he's right, it doesn't.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, and then I think Justin Allgaier was probably a little bit of a surprise. I was kind of leaning more towards Gregson, but
I was too.
figuring it's
That is
a
a real
junior
shock.
driver. That's where the it's not a shock comes in. So I knew.
Maybe
I think
it's
we all
the
knew it was going to be
junior-
good.
Maybe it's the Dale Jr. effect on Allgaier.
Yeah, there
But
you
they
go.
both race for the same team, so, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, Allgaier is a fantastic guy. I've gotten to meet him once. Really, really cool, down to earth guy. Stuff like that. So, again, very well deserved, and that's again the part where it's not too much of a surprise. I think Zane Smith is going to be the one that's going to leave us scratching our heads, like, wow, where did that come from? Not saying it's not deserved, obviously, but I think caught a few people by surprise. So,
I have a question for everybody. Something has happened to Justin Haley's Twitter account. If you go to Justin Haley's Twitter account right now, it says tweets aren't loading right now.
He deleted his Twitter, his Facebook, and his Instagram.
No, it's not deleted. I'm looking at it. It just, he doesn't have anything there.
Deactivated. Should be the correct.
25,800 followers, 82 people that he follows. I'm going to have to talk to him about that. He needs to follow Kickin the Tires. But yeah, it's like there's a photo of a car and a photo of him, but his account is offline for some
I
reason.
wonder if something similar happened to him with what happened to Noah maybe a month or so ago.
Well,
Somebody hacked their stuff.
Well, for Noah, it was just his Twitter account. For Justin, the same thing's going on with his Instagram and his Facebook. So I don't know if maybe somebody hacked his phone or if his phone was stolen or something like that, and he had everything deactivated just in case. But
Well, that's a good point.
Instagram and Facebook are owned by Facebook, so maybe those two are linked. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
That is
look,
strange.
if you can guess my Chinese password, it's all the same thing for everything. So, but you better know fluent Mandarin. I got blocked by Ty Gibbs.
Same here. For the second time.
Yeah.
I just saw someone tweet at colleague and said, "Can you tell Allmendinger to unblock me?" And they said, "Wow, he's throwing blocks on and off the track."
Okay, so we'll come back from just mention that we'll go into the Justin Haley Twitter account thing and figure out a way to edit out of that. And then I'll pitch to Matt and say, hey, there's something else going on with colleague too, right? And then you say the thing which you just said about colleague with Allmendinger, and then that'll give me a reason to throw shade at Ty Gibbs. So, okay. Hey, Matt, obviously with Justin Haley's Twitter account, you just told me that there was something else with AJ Allmendinger. What's going on with the colleague accounts here?
Yeah, I was trying to find Justin Haley's account and came across a response that someone had tweeted at colleague asking them to pass a message along to AJ Allmendinger, have them unblock them, and then colleague responded and said, "Don't think we can do that. He's just blocking on and off the track." So pretty clever response from the social media team over there.
Well, I can attest to being blocked from some drivers. Apparently, during the race weekend at Phoenix, Ty Gibbs did not like the fact that I was retweeting his exact words from in the car, and he has now blocked me from seeing his Twitter account. Hey, Ty, I have multiple Twitter accounts. Just saying.
And I retweeted what you said, and I got blocked by Ty as well.
He blocked you too?
Yes.
Hey, Coach Gibbs, I know you watch the podcast. Well, not really, but I know some of the people at JGR watch the podcast. So can y'all maybe unblock us? Because we were just tweeting what he said, and he was kind of funny and snarky, and we like that. So anyway, that's our official request as we shame y'all for blocking reporters on Twitter and social media. So, next topic before I get us thrown out of the garage altogether.
All right. Well, we're all going to have to look for new jobs. Just kidding. All right. Going on. Silly season's not taking a break, that's for sure. We've got a big change over at Joe Gibbs Racing with a crew chief swap involving Kyle Busch. So we'll get a little bit more in depth into that. John Hunter Nemechek no longer at Front Row Motorsports, and we'll share where we think he's heading off to based on a few inside news. So that might, pique your interest. Sarah broke the news that Ryan Ellis is back in the seat with BJ McLeod in the Xfinity Series. So that's going to be exciting to see him racing once again. Jeb Burton is making an announcement to College Racing and Chase Purdy to GMS for the Truck Series, but we'll start with the crew chief swap. Adam Stevens is going to no longer be the crew chief for Kyle Busch. He's going to be crew chiefing the 20 car, which Christopher Bell is going to be inheriting, taking over from Eric Jones in 2021 for the Cup Series. And Ben Bashore, who is from the Xfinity Series from the driver development program, he was Harris Burton's crew chief. He's now going to move up to Cup, get that promotion, and work with the two-time champion in the NASCAR Cup Series, Kyle Busch.
We found out this stuff on Monday, and I really wish that we could have talked to Kyle on the Monday Night Racing about it, but I don't think that was an option. But I'm shocked. It shocks me and it doesn't shock me. So I can see where bringing Ben Bashore up and putting him with Kyle Busch would give him experience from a champion to be a great crew chief and kind of shorten his learning curve. I can see where putting Adam Stevens with Christopher Bell can shorten his learning curve as a driver. However, Adam Stevens and Kyle Busch have 2 championships together. They got the win earlier this year. If they wouldn't have gotten the win, I would have seen it. Okay, maybe so. Now, I know they've been snippy at each other on the radio. I listen to Kyle a lot. But, at the end of the day, it's kind of like the Chad Canals, Jimmy Johnson thing. It didn't work when you broke them up. So why the heck are you doing it? Because if you go back and look at crew chief switches through the years, generally, not all the time, there are some exceptions, but generally it doesn't go well.
Well, and here's the other part too. Why would you try to fix something that's not broken? Unless their main purpose is more that they're putting a lot of faith in Kyle Busch to still win, which we know he will. But like you said too, with the crew chief swap with Jimmy Johnson, we all thought he was going to maybe win 2 more races or so before his retirement, and he didn't. He didn't.
And I think some of that was because he didn't have Chad. So, you look at some of the things that have happened. Who was Tony Stewart's crew chief that he fired? He fired him before the championship season was even over. He won the championship that year. Who was his crew chief? Darian Grubb. So, y'all know I think the world of Tony. But, how would you like to have been like Darian Grubb back then, knowing that you're getting fired in the championship as Tony was winning 5 of 10, okay, and then takes home the title with a tie at Miami. The next year, Tony didn't do anything good. He wouldn't run gangbusters. I mean, even though Darian Grubb lied to Tony, I look at it like a poker lie, and what, if you're wondering what that's about, I think it was in Atlanta where Tony was complaining about the car and they came down pit road and Darian told him that they made all these changes and they really hadn't made any. And Tony said something later and Darian's like, yeah, I didn't make any changes. That was all the driver. But that apparently didn't go over well. And, so that may or not led to his demise as a crew chief for that car. But I can see the same type of thing happening with Adam Stevens and Kyle Busch. So what? They snip at each other. Jimmy Johnson and Chad Canals had to have milk and cookies with Rick Hendrick. So, did Joe Gibbs have a milk and cookies moment with Adam and Kyle? Because I hate to see this for both of those guys. I really do.
Definitely a big surprise for me. I mean, very similar to what I mean, if they did have milk and cookies, someone threw the milk at someone else. And it didn't end well like the Czech and now Jimmy one did. But I mean, they spent 6 years, I believe, together. I mean, it was a tough start if you look at at just when Adam joined Kyle. I mean, it was right when Kyle had that injury at Daytona in 2015, so he was out for a little bit. When he came back, I mean, Kyle was at his best of his whole career. He was never better than when he came back from that injury. And nearly half of Kyle's career wins came with Adam during those 6 years and 2 championships. I mean, but I guess just what we've learned is in the past with JGR and maybe other teams is that when things are pointing downward, even for just one single season, boom, changes. I mean, we saw him with Team Penske last year, and we just see it every now and then. And I mean, I'm sure it's going to be a big help for Chris Bell for sure. I mean, that's a huge undertaking. We've seen that JGR has struggled to have 4 teams consistently win. Outside of the 11th team, they only won twice this year. Truex had 1 win and Kyle won right at the end. Other than that, Denny was the only real contender for the title and someone who was winning consistently. Can Chris bring that to the 20 team? I mean, we'll see. I'm sure Adam's going to help. But I mean, on the Ben side with who Kyle's going to be with now, big move for Bishore. I mean, he did great with Harrison Burton last year. I mean, I think they were at their best right at the end. Among the more competitive teams, which is what that 20 team usually is in Xfinity. So they definitely built a good relationship there, but it's just a whole other thing when you get the Cup. And he only had 3 Cup races prior to next season, did Ben Bishore. So it's going to be a big learning curve for him. And Jerry, you made a good point that this move it'll help the learning curve for Chris having an experienced crew chief, and it'll help Ben Bishore having an experienced driver. So maybe that was part of that dynamic they were looking for.
In a press conference at Bristol back in September, a reporter asked Kyle and said, "Hey, what are the chances? Do you think that Adam Stevens will be your crew chief next year?" And Kyle's response was, "Don't ask stupid questions." So I wonder if Kyle didn't even see this coming, or he was just throwing a really good bluff there.
I don't know. Like I said, I wish we'd have been able to ask him on Monday night. But what are your thoughts, Seth?
Well, the part of the announcement that I thought was the most interesting is that Chris Gale is going to lead the number 54 full-time in the Xfinity Series, driven by, as they called it, a team of all-star caliber drivers. So that's obviously where we're going to see Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin make their various starts in the Xfinity Series. Maybe a Christopher Bell. And I wouldn't be surprised, even though technically it's a different team, if we might see Bubba Wallace in that car as well.
Maybe you'll see a certain other driver who's leaving a Cup team and dropping down to what I expect to be trucks in that car, since it's kind of in the same farm group.
Who's that, Jerry?
That pique your interest?
A guy recently married and having a kid on the way?
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, John Hunter Nemechek leaving Front Row Motorsports, expected, from what I'm hearing, to be in a KBM truck in 2021. So that'll be quite interesting if that plays out. Look, I could be wrong. If I am, blame my sources. But usually when I say something on stuff like this, I'm pretty positive, usually about 95%. So go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is I've also heard, not only that, but I've also heard it's a TRD deal, that he would be in the KBM truck, the Joe Gibbs Xfinity car, and then eventually possibly a second 2311 car.
Oh, so it's not just my sources. You've heard this too.
Yes.
Okay, so then we ought to be somewhere like 98 to 99%. I mean, come on. Okay, good. I'm glad it's not just me. So Seth works the garage. I don't know how he does it, because he's always at the damn college. But, Seth works the garage. So.
Easy. A lot of the college students, their parents work in the garage.
There you go.
Yes, there you go. That's it.
I wouldn't think that this deal, if it does happen for John Hunter, that it didn't have like a sufficient end for him because, God, he spent so many years in the Truck Series with his dad Joe. I mean, you think he had like 3 full-time years and then many part-time years. Got up to Xfinity finally, won right away, but his full-time year was a little tougher. Gets the Cup this year. Now he's going to take a nosedive back down the trucks, which is something he's done for years and years already. So I really would not expect, even with a KBM equipment, I mean, that's going to be a massive opportunity. But, I mean, would you really want to be in the Truck Series when you've already done Xfinity and you've done full-time Cup? Is that – but seeing that there's a plan going, years down to get him back to Xfinity, back to Cup, that would make a lot more sense to me because – he's a really good talent. I like seeing him on the track. He's super aggressive. He got a lot of heat early in trucks for being a little too hot. When it came to like the just certain finishes, he would just be overly aggressive. But I mean, I like seeing that, and he was really solid in that 38 car this year, a couple top 10. So he's got potential, but just to see that they have plans going forward, not just put him back in the Truck Series. That's good to see.
So I got some input here on something else. I want to ask whoever would know this. I know that Front Row drives Fords, right?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't they used to run Chevrolets?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, and didn't at one time they ran both?
That at one time they did run both because at that time they didn't have a manufacturer alliance.
When does their manufacturer alliance end with Ford? Does anybody know?
I think next year.
Okay, so next year.
I think next year.
Reason I ask, Ty Dillon doesn't have a ride. Nobody saw the Front Row car coming open. I'm just trying to figure out where Ty Dillon's going to fall into this equation for Cup Series next year. And I haven't been able to get – he's supposed to come on the show, but they have gone radio silent now that team has officially shut down. So I'm thinking, as y'all were saying earlier, silly season is not only still going on, it's kind of just getting warmed up in some aspects of some of these lower tier drivers that are moving around. Because as Sarah wrote this week, Ryan Ellis is back in a car, and he was doing PR for Matt DiBenedetto, for the longest time. So go ahead.
And not only is he back in the car for BJ McLeod for, I think, 8 races, he also announced today he's running the Chili Bowl.
Mm-hmm. So, and I kind of burst Sarah's bubble last week because I knew ahead of the time that what she was going to write when she said, I got a story on Ryan. And I'm like, yeah, I know exactly what it is. And I could just see her go, oh, kudos to her for getting that story. Yeah. And, but yes, I really appreciate everything Sarah does because look, guys, there's sometimes that we all slack off, but that girl, she works her butt off and she knows what's going on in the sport. Hell, she convinced Matt to partner up with her in a business together. So, they got 2 entrepreneurs here working for, before long, they'll, they're going to be taking over Kicking the Tires and just buying it for me. So,
Gary, I just found a story from 2017 that talks about Toyota finding interest in Front Row.
Finding interest in Front Row?
Yeah, there's a story in 2017 that talks about that there was a rumor about Toyota wanting to manufacture with Front Row.
I remember David Wilson repeatedly saying that they always wanted a minimum of 6 cars on track at one time. And technically speaking, this year they only had 5. Yes, you had Gaunt Brothers, but they didn't have support every week.
But they will with Denny's car for next year. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Wait. Actually, David Wilson said something. We'd have to go back and listen to the Zoom call. But he said 4 cars at JGR and 1 team that we know of and another team that we didn't know of and that he couldn't talk about.
Huh.
Everybody assumed he was talking about Denny's team, but in reality, we all knew about Denny's team for weeks before that actually ever happened.
Right.
Okay. So I wonder who that other team is. I've got to go back and listen to that call and figure out which one, because there's several stories off of that call that I've been kind of going through. Need to go back to that first David Wilson call and see exactly how he worded that. But I remember I was sitting at Duckworth's in Mooresville with Chris Knight across from me when he said what he did about the teams that we know about and the one that he can't talk about. So interesting. Okay, so Ryan Ellis with BJ. Next, I guess, would be, we were talking about Colleague Racing earlier. I don't has anybody heard back from AJ Allmendinger or Justin Haley yet? Okay. Jeb Burton teaming up with them. That was kind of a shocker for me going into that car, and with Nutrient Ag Solutions going to be a part-time sponsor on that car as well.
I believe it. I know it's a full-time deal.
It's a full-time deal, but I think it's a part-time sponsorship.
I think they're going to be on for 20 or 25 races, something like that. And then some of Jeb and Ward's partners, State Water Heaters, and I forget what the other partner is, are also going to be on the car at some point.
That'll be an interesting situation there. I like Jeb Burton. He's a good guy. So
he's a great guy. I was definitely happy to see that. He's just one guy who I kind of put in a pile of someone who just really, really wants it. Like even with someone who had a name coming in and he grew up in the sport for so long, I really don't think he ever got it easy. He had a couple years in the Truck Series and he won. He was known for being a hell of a qualifier. He was good for a couple laps, but he was only able to get that one win, and he's been in and out of Xfinity rides. He was full-time Cup for a year. I mean, he's just a journeyman driver. He's just been all over the place, and seeing him with Junior Motorsports last year and now 2020 as well. I think he did about a third of the season this year. I mean, that was super cool. And he wasn't able to win, but I feel like he did everything but. And I'll never forget interviewing him at Texas last year, which was his first start with JRM, and he was in tears crying because he got a top 5, which for most guys, you get in that car and it's just, you get a top 5. But for him, that was only the second ever in his whole career, and it was a huge deal for him because he finally got that opportunity that he was trying for so hard to get. Sponsors, everything finally aligned for him to do just a handful of races, and to race for an Earnhardt, and he got a top 5, and he was in tears, and got to do a lot more this year, and now he's full time with a championship contending, race winning equipment with colleagues. So that's incredible. It's cool to see someone like that who I felt really earned it and struggled for many years finally make it to a really, really good position in his life.
Well, doesn't matter how good you are, you can be the best driver in the world, best driver anywhere. You're only as good as your equipment and the money that you bring to pay for the equipment, or that the sponsors will put into it to make it go fast. Because how fast do you want to go? How much money do you have? That's the name of NASCAR. It's been that way for years, and good to see Jeb. You guys threw this up here. I don't know a whole lot about Chase Purdy to GMS in trucks, and the most underrated driver of 2020, I have no clue, because I think there's a lot of underrated drivers out there. I think Matt DiBenedetto gets a bad rap in the Cup Series because, he is a great driver, but he is driven, until recently, has driven in crap equipment, and now he's in good equipment, and you're seeing him show exactly how much he's worth. So I think overall he would probably be my most underrated driver, because people still think about him as where he was versus where he is with good equipment now.
For me, the underrated driver, at least for 2020, I keep circling back to Ryan Newman. With everything he went through, especially at Daytona, and only missing 4 races in part due to the COVID shutdown. And granted, he didn't get a win, but he came back. He came back no different than how he was before the accident. Just something about Newman, to me, that I can't keep. I can't think of anybody else who is essentially, to a certain point, an underrated driver for 2020, because yes, we talk about the accident and his comeback, but after that, we kind of just stopped talking about him.
Well, I tell you what, in my mind, Ryan Newman won the Daytona 500 this
Yep.
year. So, I'm sorry. This is going to really tick off all the Ryan Blaney fans, but he dumped him, in my opinion. And, we don't take away wins for stuff like that or rough driving or whatever it happens. But in my mind, Ryan Newman is the winner of the Daytona 500 this year.
Well, I kind of looked a little bit further when it comes to my underdog of the year, or most underrated driver of the year. I actually go to Xfinity with a part-time driver, and that was AJ Allmendinger, who we just talked about a little bit there. He was just someone I didn't know what to expect seeing him in that car. He's been in it for a little bit. He did a little bit last year as well, but 11 races, 8 top 10s, 6 top 5s, won 2 times. People really forgot that he had 7 straight top 10s in the opening 7 starts for him this year. Justin Haley, who made the Final Four, won numerous races full time, and he wasn't able to do that. Allmendinger led more laps than Haley did this year, and also he was the team's only driver to win outside of a super speedway, not just this year, but ever. The entire history of the team is the only driver to win outside of Daytona and Talladega. I mean, that's over 200 races, and he's done it 3 times on road courses and ovals. So it was cool to see him get about a third of the schedule this year. It could have easily been more than 2 wins. I mean, we know how Daytona ended in August. He was great at Talladega, great at Martinsville, Indy Grand Prix, he nearly won, same with Road America. So it just seemed like any time he was in that car, he was running up front, didn't matter what type of track. And I was disappointed he wasn't put into the 10 car, but it was cool to see AJ, old Dinger, up front and racing for wins, not just on road courses, but everywhere.
Matt, your thoughts? And by the way, I ordered some stuff from Amazon today to keep you employed.
Well, appreciate it. Yeah, I'm glad to have a job through Christmas now. You guys, Jerry threw me off. So for
you really want me to throw you off? Tell Jeff to share some money.
I was looking at Austin Dillon and Tyler Reddick this year. I know, especially Tyler Reddick. I think it's kind of a shame that he didn't win Rookie of the Year, just based on how the point system works and all that. But I mean, he had a lot of good runs. I don't think he performed as well as I thought he would this season. But and then Austin won at Texas this summer, and I think that was a complete surprise to everyone. So to get RCR back in victory lane for the first time since 2018, I think was really, really good for the sport and for Richard.
Justin?
Yeah, I was going to say, Reddick was one of those names on my list when I put that in. But I'm going to have to say Alex Bowman is my most underrated driver, because I don't think people realize this. Sure, he only won 1 race at California earlier this year before COVID hit. But I don't think people realize how consistent he kept running. So how the playoff points work is, you get your top 16, they go in, they get like an extra 1,000 bonus points, so that way they stay the top 16 no matter what, pretty much. And then as people are eliminated, as you eliminate the next 4, most people think like, oh, well, you have this 4, so 13th through 16th, and then this 4, 9th through 12th, and then this 4, 5th through 8th, and then depending on how far you advance, you're gonna finish that somewhere in that range in points. But what actually happens is you get docked back down to that 2,000 point range, and you're competing with all the other drivers. So if you are, if you made it to the round 8 like Bowman did, but you got eliminated, you're still racing people that are 5th all the way down to 16th in points for those spots.
Just for the record, it's called the Kevin Harvick rule. Kevin Harvick came up with that rule, actually. If you didn't know that there's still that the drivers that are outside the top 4 still have actually something to race for all the way up to 5th.
Oh, okay, I didn't realize that.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think that kind of adds a little bit of a race inside the race. I think we all kind of knew Harvick was going to take that 5th spot once he was eliminated at Martinsville. But look at the name right underneath Kevin Harvick. It's Alex Bowman. And he's beat out Truex. He's beat out Kyle Busch, Blaney, Kurt Busch. I mean, you're talking about guys who have not only wins but multiple top fives. In fact, Truex and Kyle Busch both have over double the top fives that Alex Bowman has, but Bowman just consistently running just slightly better than the others, and getting those bonus points during the stages all added up throughout the year. And so I think that's one guy that kind of flew under the radar in my opinion. So a solid run for Alex Bowman, considering the career he's had and the wild ups and downs. A 6th place in points, I'm sure that's a win for him as well. So
excellent. Obviously, we don't know what we're going to have next week. It's Thanksgiving, but we're going to do a show. We'll figure out exactly how we're going to do that with people having church and Thanksgiving coming up. We're pretty much wrapped up here for this week's episode of the Kickin' Show. Remember, like us, share us, follow us, click the bell, do all the things you're supposed to do. The first 100 subscribers at YouTube will get into a drawing for a free Darlington 164th program car. You can't find these. It's from 2010. It's to celebrate us coming back after COVID hit us and took the sport out for so many weeks earlier this year. Appreciate everybody being on. Seth, Matt, Zach, Justin, for always everything you guys do. We'll see y'all next week here on the Kickin' Show.